Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video, and today I'm doing a behind the scenes so far to Antimatter Part 1. Of this day, like today. I can't remember what the date is actually off the top of my head, but I was going to film this part yesterday, but I'm kind of glad that I didn't in some ways, but yeah, it's been a kind of weird day today anyway. Most of November has, on a personal level for me. It's a bit of a blur, really. But yeah, what's really weird is, if you were curious what the hell this is, it's actually just my infinity cube. Like, it's a sensory thing, and I just thought it would be so cool to just randomly have in the sort of episode of sorts. Also, originally, Antimatter Part 1, anyway, in my head, I was like, hey, maybe I could do sort of a 5 to 7 minute at most sort of part 1, like have it on the short side, and then it ran up to like 9 minutes and half an hour or so, which is kind of mad to think so, considering that you only have 3 characters really, and even then one of the characters is only there very briefly, and that, like, firstly, the very brief character is this Time Lord action figure, and that I just literally chucked over here, but then the problem was, then I tried to do that cut away, and I put the camera there, forgetting that this, obviously, TV stand is see-through, so then you could just see beautiful Katamari, and I'm like, oh god, shit, I need to just put it down somewhere where it'll fade to black. But yeah, he was obviously in the trailer for the second half of my figure adventures and that, so yeah, if you've hopefully watched that trailer, you'll have seen him maybe kind of a little bit, spoiler alert I guess, or trailer reveal I guess there, and that, I was pretty happy with the way that trailer went as well actually. I think what I find really fun about doing the sort of figure adventure trailer things is the fact that, like, I can just do like lots of little things like that, little snippets of bigger pictures that I know are gonna happen, or I have a rough idea of where those little pieces, like, imagine like a piece, like in a trailer you're seeing a piece of like a 50 to 100 piece, sort of jigsaw puzzle, but I can see roughly where all 50 pieces are going, and that, whereas you're just seeing that little one piece, one or two pieces of like the next 3 episodes for my figure adventures, as I say. So, so that was pretty interesting for me. Like, to give you an idea, for me, this episode, or the themes of this sort of story, the 4th episode, I guess, in this series of sorts, is heavily inspired by Scherzo, obviously. If you couldn't already tell by some of the stuff that happens in the sort of TARDIS scenes, as it were, interior TARDIS scenes. Scherzo, the Doctor's wife, and the 3 Doctors, kind of sorts, and that, which actually might lead into some other stuff that might happen, actually, although now I feel like I've kind of spoilt some of the twists and turns of the story, but yeah. Originally as well, in my head, I pictured filming this at, like, when it's darker outside, and then maybe putting my light on, but my light's all, like, yellowy, so it'd have this weird yellowy tinge, the video, like, lighting-wise, to it. It's just I really regret, and/or wish I still had this, like, lamp light thing that my nan used to have, which was, like, really good for, like, filming figure adventures during sort of the winter times. Hence the reason why it's been very difficult to film any videos really lately. I mean, you only have to look at, like, say, my Doctor Who Night Thoughts review, where it was getting a bit dark and it was already around, like, sort of 3:50, nearly 4, I think. So it was getting dark. So it was getting dark out, and it's getting dark out about 4, obviously, here in the UK. I know, England and that, and then also the fact that, like, if it's not, like, super, like, sunny or mild or whatever, then if it's, like, raining and misty and kind of naff, which it usually is during winter months, surprisingly enough, even if it's earlier than 4 in the day, it kind of makes there's less light, basically, is what I'm getting at, but yeah. Yeah, originally I don't think I was going to have, like, the scene where the Doctor kind of goes erratic and has that sort of, like, I was gonna say a psychic attack, but like sensory attack of sorts, or sensory, uh, yeah, like just attack or overwhelmed by the fact that you've got on a cellular level, he's getting like his senses are burning up, like and he's getting like senses that would be normal to a Time Lord are just being burnt up for this guy. So he's in extreme agony, and hopefully I kind of got that across in the episode, I hope, and yeah, so in doing that, he very much needs Gwen, and that, or is, yeah, very reliant on Gwen, which is good because for once I feel like I've made it very much a precedent in this story and or this part in particular that she's actually going to have like a big role in that. I feel like in some of the other episodes in that I've not really utilised her that well, I'll be honest. I think there's a big criticism of my series so far, off the top of my head. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I think I introduced her well in Rebirth, in the first sort of story, and then, as I say, in the last two, sort of, Man, she was alright, Witch of the Well, maybe not so much, so hopefully she'll be, she might have gone sort of average, dipped, and then, as I say, go back up to average, or if not, go even further up from average to excelling as a character, ideally, is what I want. But then, by the same token, you could argue then, that means that the Doctor's going to be a lot more vulnerable, or a lot less active in terms of the story and the narrative. But, to be fair, as a character, that's such a rarity in the show anyway, whether it be, whether it be the main series, new or old, the new series or Classic Who, or the audios, or the comic books and the books, he is such a sort of, this mad boffin, this mad sort of can do everything sort of character, so I really am trying to push the Doctor out of his comfort zone, and I think the rare times that the show has done that in any form of media, it's always made the Doctor, or those stories are always the ones that are very unique and very interesting to me. And as I say, Scherzo, the Doctor's wife, the three Doctors, all spring to mind off the top of my head as three stories that really sort of push the Doctor in new different ways, or different sort of challenges for him as a character anyway, that I always found really fascinating as a viewer anyway, or a listener in the case of Scherzo. But yeah, a lot longer part than I thought it would be. Again, considering there's literally three characters again. That one's very briefly. These two there a bit more. So yeah, so you've got this mysterious black cube thing and that, and yeah, it's kind of weird as well. Like, it was like such a big shock reveal in Oxygen when the Doctor was blind and he couldn't see, and then I was there thinking to myself as well, like, it's kind of weird because, like, in Star Wars though, like, there are quite a few different blind characters. Like, Rogue One has that guy who's like, I'm one with the Force is one with me. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, or for the life of me, I don't know his name. And then there's also Kanan Jarrus, I think his name is, who's like a Jedi Knight of sorts, who gets blinded partway through Star Wars Rebels, spoiler alert, I guess, and then has to wear like this mask thing over his eyes. But then what's weird though is, like, obviously as a Jedi Knight he uses the Force to be able to see, which I think is so cool, I mean, to be fair, in my defence, I haven't specifically said it in this part, or even here, that the Doctor is blind. All I'm just saying is, like, he definitely needs Gwen quite a bit, or at least in this part anyway, so far. He's needed Gwen, and that. Oh, and also, by the way, this episode will be a 5-part story, so this will be a 5-part story, so you've still got another 4 parts to go. Hopefully you enjoy them, and that. So yeah, you've still got another 4 parts to go. It's just, Rebirth was a 4-part story, Man was a 5-part story. I'll be honest, they kind of dragged though for me, on a creative level. It could have been, a 4-part story, but as I say, that one was... So episode 1 was a 4-part story, episode 2 was a 5-part story, episode 3 was 4 parts, episode 4 is a 5-part story. So, yeah, so you've had, as I say, so 4-part, 5-part, 4-part, and then a 5-part story. So, just to mix it up a little bit. And then, as I say, the next two episodes are like the last two sort of series finale of sorts, which you could, if you wanted to, see as like a two-parter almost, kind of. But that's, probably at this rate something you'll see in probably next year, like at some point in 2020. At this rate, I'm not going to make any promises that I'm going to wrap up all of Antimatter and all this episode and our story before 2019. That would be unreasonable on my part, and also put a lot more pressure and stress on my person, even though, again, I do these as just as a hobby, as fun. It's just a bit of harmless fun, even though I'm the type of person who I am perfectionist and a bit of a control freak and a perfectionist, and even though these are kind of naff and kind of cheesy and boring and stupid, probably for people to watch, I always like, even though they're kind of silly and the dumb and the goofy, I do put a lot of my sort of personality and person into them, I guess. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, actually. This one in particular, and I hope this one turns out the way I want it to, because I've got like a really good idea for one cliffhanger, and that, if you thought this was a good cliffhanger, then some of the other cliffhangers should hopefully be even better, hopefully. Talking about, or alluding towards a cliffhanger, I was going to add or allude to said cliffhanger that I'm on about now, that I'm alluding to now in this series trailer, but I didn't, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Part of me's like, I wish I did allude to it in that trailer, but then part of me's like, actually, would that have ruined that sort of surprise? I wouldn't have given away the cliffhanger, or outright shown you that cliffhanger. I would have, as I say, it's still just been visually alluding you towards that cliffhanger, but and you wouldn't have noticed or known, obviously, that it was going to be a cliffhanger for an upcoming episode. But that's about everything. Thanks for watching. Comment, rate, and subscribe.